Hello. Welcome to the stream. The stream has started. The stream is now. Now is the stream. Welcome to the stream. Because the stream is now. The stream. Sounds like you can hear me. So I vote that we get this show on the road. Let's make a little Discord announcement. We are at Twitch TV. Lens_R. Linzor. And we are live with compiler part 16. Ooh. Stay consistent now. No. Would be funny to add specific people, but no. The notif group, please. Alrighty. Hey, we're officially live. As usual, that's my reminder that my phone is not on silent. So I'll do that now. There we go. Look at us. We're making it. Welcome, everybody. Mekonate, how's it going? Hi, how are you? Thank you for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. Ooh, bumped my desk. Welcome, welcome. Hello, everybody. We should get started. We should get started right away. We're going to be doing more compiler work today. And I think there was a couple things to do that I found. First of all, we did this. We did the top level. We now do this. We parse tokens or something into an AST. Done. And we also, this isn't even a sentence. Compiler AST into assembly. That should be compile. Sure. Eternal Wild Fox, hello. How's it going? Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you have showed up. We have been talking gratefully in the Discord. It's confusing, but I promise it's worth it. You'll be like a grand wizard with the ultimate knowledge of C. I am so close, but so far away. Oh, it's true. It's so bittersweet. Every time I write in C, I get reminded like, oh yeah, there's still things that I just have never even seen or never even done, and I probably should be doing. And it's just such a large thing to do. We also compile our AST into assembly. So we did that. So this is now done. We can just put our done label, whatever we want. Boom. Done, top level. We even did type checking in there. Eternal Wild Fox says, I never wrote C. That's right. That's why it's so impressive what you're doing, too. Like, most people don't dive right in to what you're working on, like binary trees and operations on them. It's a fairly complicated problem. So I think we're going to be doing the kind of urgent section today, because there are a few things that I think we should do. Alrighty. So, sorry, I just drank some water. Probably should have warned you. The context is a hierarchy of environments that detail the different scopes of the program. The stack is used internally to handle continuations while parsing. Currently, these are one and the same, and this causes major issues when it comes to function calls. They require a continuation, but do not require new context. So we're going to need to separate our stack and our context. Remember chat? I remember Pepperidge Farm members. Remember in like that second episode when I was like, wait, should the stack and the context be separate? And then I'm like, I can always do it later. Well, now is later. So now I have to go do this. So let's fix our parsing context and stack being separate. But Eternal Wild Fox, it is really awesome what you're doing. Like the fact that you're understanding pointers and how to use them in binary trees already is very impressive. So I know in my mind you can get like how strings work down, because that's all that's holding you up now. And then you just have to use string compare instead of a literal equal comparison, and then you're gonna be golden. It's gonna be amazing. So we even wrote the to-do back then. Separate the context from the stack. Yeah. Oh boy, wish I did that earlier. So the stack is only ever going to be used for continuations while parsing a singular expression, whereas the context will be passed between expressions and used in all of them. Lander XT says pointers are people who are employed to point at something, right? Eternal Wild Fox with the oh. Lamau. Landar, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you tuned in today. How are you doing? Neg Vorsa, it's great to see you as well. You were a fresh follow at the end of yesterday's stream. I very much appreciate you tuning in. How's it going, Neg Vorsa, Landar? Yeah, pointers are these little multiplication symbols, and you just multiply the type by the name. Simple. uh, that's a joke. /s, in case you didn't catch that. So we already have the context. It seems like we have what we need. We have the operator and the result used for stack continuation while parsing. What do you know? That shouldn't be in the context. And that's going to create a lovely whole bunch of errors. So now we're going to need to have like a parse stack create, right? Because we have a context create. We're going to need a parse stack create. How is everybody doing today? Alrighty. Parse stack create. We're going to return some sort of... Maconate says C is not too easy. I learn it... Oh, C is not easy. I learn it too with a book. Nice. That's really awesome. I'm not encouraging you to do the same. I'm just saying I can't learn from books. I don't know if I'm dumb, but like, unless somebody literally like writes code in front of me, it's very hard for me to learn. Because I have to see like the mindset of the developer and how they choose to program, and it's very hard for me to see the mindset of somebody just by reading 20 pages in a textbook. But I bet you I would be better off if, as a child, I just chose to get over that feeling and choose to learn from books anyway and not be so dumb, right? Because I'm sure I can do it. It's just my mindset that, oh, I'm dumb, I can't do it, made me never do it. That's it. Parsing stack. Woo. Stack, please. Tried to hit Alt-4 and it went very wrong. Eternal Wild Fox says, I am also learned by doing. That's awesome. Yeah. But, because effectively, there's nothing that I know in C that I haven't, like, that isn't from a tutorial or, like, some code, some open source code I looked at somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't just come up with design patterns. I learned them by seeing somebody else have the same problem as me and fix it in that way. And then I was like, oh, that's really smart. I'm going to do that. You could say code is a lot of like copying. As long as it's open source, you're all good. Cite your sources. Maconate says, yes, reading from book and doing. Maconate has it right. You should read something. You should have some sort of external, like something you can refer to or look back to when you are writing the code. Because that helps a lot. Instead of my way where I just fumble through things live on the internet. It's not as efficient as it turns out. Little known fact. I did not spell that right. What is this? Continuation? Could not allocate memory for new parser continuation stack? Continuation. Is that right? Continue. Yeah, there we go. Yikes. That was rough. Okay, so stack parent equals parent. Operator equals null. Result equals null. We may want to put operator and result as arguments here if we need them in every spot, but I'm not sure that we do. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. And we may not have the result when we're setting the... Yeah, I think this is fine for now. Just set them to null. Okay, parse stack create. We now have it. We can now remove these two. And that should be it. All of this has to do with contexts. Alrighty, so now this parsing stack can be created. And we're going to need to do that sometimes, you know? So when do we need to do that? For example, in a lambda, somewhere here, lambda. So context no longer has an operator. We still want to create a new parsing context because this is a lambda and there will be parameters that we need to bind in this new context. However, the stack operator will be separate and we will create the stack. We're going to need a stack every time we parse an expression. Okay. Stack pointer, stack equals null. Is this okay? I think this is okay. We can have a null stack at the beginning. Okie doke, okie doke. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I know I'm just diving into it today. So stack result, stack operator. So this means that stack will not be null because we assert. This may be null, so parent we can't dereference unless we check it. Eternal Wild Fox says, I have 1,000 questions about C. This is the perfect stream to ask them. It's small enough where they'll be answered, and it's it's directly on the topic of writing C code. And the code is open source, so you could download it and check it out for yourself. Change it, use it for your own project. Eternal Wild Fox says, wah, lol. It's true. It's funny, but it's true. So I don't think we need to do this up here anymore. We can now kind of keep this all in one spot. So the stack continuation happens here, whereas this is where the new context and the bindings happen. So we're separating them. That's good. Then we just need to make sure that if there's no stack, we get out of here. So instead of being in the global context, we want to check that if not stack, because it starts as null. So setting it to the parent, it'll eventually be null. We can just break. I'm also just going to do this. Okay. We should probably build to make sure we're not screwing things up. So I'm just going to write my little cmake command here and run command. What should we feed it? What should we feed it? We should feed it, let's just feed it example for now. Let's go simple. Let's see what's in simple. Exited abnormally with code 1. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. Okay, yes, you run it from the same one. I understand. Wonderful. Now, yep, this is going to tell us, hey, look, you can't do this here. So we still want to create a new context, but we want to move the stack continuation to the bottom, and then say stack equals stack create stack. I should probably just make like a new stack macro, or just again, like I said, move these into actual arguments. But I don't know, I think this is plenty fine. It's readable. Maconate says, question, difference between memCompare and stringCompare. It will depend on the OS, first of all. Second of all, here's the generic, like what the C standard says the difference is, okay? So, for example, I think in our expect, so if we go to Lex expect, token string equal P. So here is an example of a string compare implementation. Maconate. I didn't specify what language when I googled something, and the top result was visualbasic.net. Oh Christ. Landar, that's terrifying. So Maconate says difference between memCompare and stringCompare. We implemented our own little string compare because we don't exactly have a string on one side, but it is a string. It's just a string span within another string. So string compare says, okay, while the string is not a null terminator, and while the other string is not a null terminator, compare them. If one reaches a null terminator first, then it's less than. If the second string reaches null terminator first, then it's greater than, so you get a 1. And then it also will compare, like, if the null terminator's in the same spot, we'll compare the actual characters. So like the string A and the string B, it would return 1, right? This isn't this implementation, but this is specific to string compare. So when you compare A and B, A would be less than B if you converted these into like ASCII values. So you would get like -1 back because this is less than this. And the same would happen if this is longer, even if it started with an A or was all A's. But if they're the same, then you'd get 0. Or if this one's greater, then you get 1 or longer, right? So it lets you do a lot of different comparisons with one function. memCompare is a bounded comparison. So you comparing two strings, you'd have to give the amount of bytes to search for. So if you did this, you would have lots of memory corruption errors because you're reading and comparing memory that is not within these strings. So you'd have to make sure that there's enough space within each buffer to memCompare them. So memCompare can be unsafe if used with strings. It's mainly used for like checking exact amounts. So if you, and oftentimes it's wrapped in like if strlen of the string, right, is greater than 4, then do the memCompare, and they do something like this, right? Then check if it's ASDF, like this. But this is just an inefficient way to do a string comparison, right? So use string compare when you're comparing strings. But if you're using a buffer that's not null terminated, like this was input from the user or something, or I don't know. I don't know when you would get an non-null terminated byte buffer that you have to check against a string. But imagine it's like a just a pointer to a structure, like you're comparing a string to a node pointer, like that, right? Then you could check the first 4 bytes of a node that match a string. And this is how a lot of like header tables work. You have to do a comparison like this, right? Because the header has like an identifier, a 4-byte identifier that doesn't have a null terminator. Hopefully that helps. The difference between memCompare and stringCompare for you. StringCompare basically tells you a lot of information specific to strings and uses a null terminator to know when to stop, whereas memCompare uses a given value of bytes to compare and can operate on any 2 values. But it operates in a similar way, where it returns 1 if the first one's greater and stuff like that. It's confusing, but basically just use stringCompare if you're comparing 2 strings. That's it. Otherwise, use memCompare. For example, like a lot of the times memCompare is what's used when you use equal equals on 2 structs, if that makes sense. They just check the memCompare of each struct because they're both the same struct, so it's the same size, so they can guarantee that the memCompare won't read out of bounds. Where were we? We were doing something. We were setting all these. Yep. So check if it's a function call. So this is exactly the case in which we don't want a new context and we just want a new stack. Eternal Wildfox says you were programming, XD. I still am. Maconate says, okay, then is memCompare faster because bytes comparing? Well, stringCompare is also bytes comparing. It still uses a char. You know what I mean? Because a char pointer string equal to ASDF is just a pointer that has to be compared in bytes, right? So by being dereferenced. So star pointer string would equal A, and then star pointer string plus 1, right? Like that would equal B. Here, like that. It's gonna yell at me. Does this make sense? And then star string plus 2 equals C, and it would go through adding, like in a for loop, essentially. When you memCompare, uses a for loop, and it'll just go over and compare each byte. Whereas when you use memCompare, or when you use stringCompare, it uses a while loop. It's not different, it's just, they're both the same, just one has different semantics. Efficiency-wise, I wouldn't think about it that way. I would use stringCompare if you're using strings, and use memCompare if you're not. That's about it. Maconate says, yes, that makes sense, thanks. Awesome, awesome. Yes. Because stringCompare is mostly about the return value and ending on the null terminator. In any case, we can continue figuring out our little bugs here. So if the stack exists, right? Operator equals stack operator. If operator, we'll say if not operator, or if operator type does not equal. Alrighty. I guess, yeah, we should check operator still. Okay, so then we can check the stack operator that we have. And if it's a lambda, this does have a context parent, but it also has a stack parent. So stack would equal stack parent. And then we would say if not stack parent, because the stack should be our continuation, returning in We'll try it. We'll try it. I think we can just do if not stack break. We're gonna try it. Otherwise, if we don't find the end, we would like to evaluate the next expression. And the next expression would be what? So we would like stack. So the stack result gets a new child. So the result points to the last stack child. That makes sense. Yep. So we can set working result to the next child, this new node, and then we can set the stack result to this new node. So that next time we come around, it gets another child. Look at us, look at us. This all seems to make sense. I don't think we have to change much other than context to stack. And do the, I guess I also have to exit in this way. What is this? Okay, we did a funky one here, huh? So why do we do this? Why would we check that if not context parent break? So if we get to the end of a function definition, why would we do this? What? I don't get this. That part doesn't ring true with me. This is a little confusing. Maybe this was causing our bug before where we didn't get the last thing. I don't even know. I honestly don't even know, because this doesn't make sense to me. Well, we're either going to have a hell of a time fixing it, or it's going to work. So how about we just give this all the old comment treatment. We're going to need this line. I'm pretty sure. See, this one makes a lot more sense. So if not context parent, return OK. That would mean we're in the global context in a lambda, which really doesn't make sense. So that should probably be an error, right? Fix me. Shouldn't this be an error? In any case, we're going to comment it out. We're going to see what happens. Negvorsa says, I see a lot of create. Do you use Valgrind to check for memory leaks? We don't worry about memory leaks right now, bud. The program is the leak, okay? Zombie Killer 4 with the follow. Thank you so much for following, Zombie Killer 4. I very much appreciate it. Welcome to our epic compiler club, as Soding would say. But yeah, Negvorsa, you see a lot of create. Here's the thing. Currently, create just calls malloc. Eventually, create will just allocate from a pool that we allocate once, and then at the end of the program, we free the pool. And then we never have to worry about freeing this complex structure and all these mallocs that we do all over the place. We just allocate and free one thing. But right now, the program doesn't need that, because the program ends right when we would free it. So nothing really would change, if that makes any sense. Like the OS cleans up all the allocated memory of the program when it's closed. So by returning right after freeing, it's kind of like just being inefficient in some sense. We will free the memory eventually. It's just that right now it would be too complicated of a problem and we don't need to do it. If you want to make a pull request with it, I'll happily accept it. It's all open source. Be me. If that makes any sense. But does it? How's it going, Be me? It's great to see you. I'm glad you are tuning in on this fine day. So in Funkel, we're going to have to do the same thing. Alrighty. And when we return from a function call, we should say, okay, the stack is done. And how do we do this? Stack equals stack parent, I would guess. So I think that would work. Hopefully. Oh Lord. Vimi says tuning in in his dancing cat emoji. It's so great. How are you today? I'm doing pretty good. I feel good this morning. How are all you wonderful fine folks? I'm glad Vimi is doing good. Tuning in. We are replacing our parser context. Not replacing it, but separating our parser context and our parser stack. Because we kind of mixed those two into one thing, and it's now becoming an issue with function calls. So we're just fixing it. I did this. Yeah, remember when we did this and it felt very wrong? There's a reason. It was because the stack was part of the persistent context. Vimi says, Eternal Wild Fox, I can smell your eternity. Ooh, he's sniffing you. I'd be careful. It's so good to have you all here. Interesting. So let's go to simple. And I think the problem I was having before is that function calls, hey, I fixed it. By the way, guys, that was easy. I didn't think it would just be like copy and replace, but hey guys, it worked. Woo! Eternal Wild Fox says maybe I should take another shower then. Lamau. Nah, eternity smells good. Eternity smells good. The ladies love it, I promise. Or the guys, whatever you're into. Or the like, if you're into getting their fluids on you or whatever. The other ones. Leafys love ya. I like Leafys. Leafys is funny. I'm sure it's just a typo because F is right next to D, but it's very funny. Leafys love ya. Well, this worked. I should have compiled it before and showed you what went wrong, because now you're just like, yeah, that's correct, dude. But before we had a ton of, each time we made a function call, we would make a new context. So we just had a bunch of empty contexts at the end of our contexts, and that would have screwed up many a thing. Does this allow us to catch a variable access at the end? Still no. God damn it. Someday we'll figure out this bug and it's gonna be like literally hours and hours of pent up rage will be released and everybody is gonna feel it across the globe. Vimi says, Eternal Wild Fox, fish fear you. Ladies can't get enough of you. Fish fear you is a good, that should be on a t-shirt. Fish fear me. Because it's not impressive, it's just true. Fish fear everything. Other than other fish that they think they might be able to, I don't know why I just did like a sitcom sex reference. I'll try not to do those in the future. This is not Friends. This is not Days of Our Lives or I Love Lucy. What's the other one about the soap? Why do they call them soaps? Oh, that's right, because they had all the soap commercials during them. That's right. For the sexist commercials. That's right. Lander links to Etsy. I'm clicking on it. Fish fear me is literally already on a bunch of hats that look suspiciously like that one presidential campaign. Women fear me, fish want me. That's the one. That's the one. Chat, that's the one. Maconate says, VMe, the picture is so cool in the Discord. Ooh, what'd we get? Yes. Yes. You got it backwards, but yes. 5-star. We're going with the rock metal. What didn't they call that, like, sign of the horns? They used to have a crazy name for that emote. VMe, you're so awesome. That's us. We are the beaver. That beaver, I'm a little concerned. That beaver's looking a little dry. You know, I think it might need some water. Okay, I'll stop. I was watching Timberborn and I could not stop laughing at the beaver puns. It's in my head. So we kind of just did it, chat. We kind of fixed our issue, and that's great. We still have our issue where we don't get the last one, but hey, we separated the stack and the context. That was easier than I thought it would be. Done. Add that to the pile. Woo! VMe's, we kind of did it. We kind of nuked the sun. If anybody ever nukes the sun, that just shows how crazy humans are. It's like, you know, the thing that keeps us all alive and burns forever? I'm gonna burn it. It's like, now that is spite. Now, I think the thing to do would be maybe to start accepting command line flags. No? I think that's a valid thing to do. I think the first thing to do would make CodeGen take in a path, right? And say, like, we'll just do a char pointer file path. Why not? VMe says nuke 'em, nuke 'em. Is that Alf? No, it's a dog with a cigar in its mouth. Or a blunt, I guess. A very giant blunt. Lander XT says, nuke every other planet in the solar system. Only Earth survives. This got dark very fast. So we have the format, the file path, the context, and the program. I think that's valid. And I think maybe a context and a program, we should wrap that in, like, type-checked program into one structure. That way we can't code gen something that isn't type-checked. But we'll see. We'll see. Excuse me. So we will make it. We will make it. So we're going to be implementing, yeah, just doing command line flags from scratch. So this needs an output file path. CodeGen C will now need this. Okie dokie. If not file path, we're going to have an error, which is an arguments error. And it's going to say CodeGen program file path cannot be null. Alrighty. If not code, or what do we do if f error? Does anybody even know? Does anybody even know what f error does? I don't know. We're gonna have to go look. Where's my Twitch? There it is. Okay, guest window. What are we, what's happening? F error. Sure. I just didn't want to click on C++, but we'll do it. To avoid tutorials point. Check if error indicator associated with stream is set, returning a value different from 0 if it is. So we can do if f error. So this is how we use it. Okay. And you're supposed to check that after every time you write? Oh my god. Nobody does that. That's insane. So fopen just returns null in the case of an error. And I'm sure that's print error or whatever. Yeah, print error message. I didn't know P error exists. Is that C++? Yeah, that's C standard IO. I was like, I don't think that's right. So we just need to check for nullality. Who needs Earth if you can have Mars? Vimy says. Mars Attacks is a masterpiece of a movie. Change my mind, Kappa. Lamau. Is Mars Attacks the one with all those aliens? And they come down in the ship and the president plays like the piano or something, the keyboard for all of them? Is that what happens? The synthesizer, that's what it is? Fopen failed to open file. A path. That seems valid. File paths. We can print that out and return error. And also do the same thing here. Return the error. Okay, so effectively, we would like to, when cogenning a program, use this file path that cannot be null, which we check first. I really don't like this, how long this is now. It's happening. It's going to happen to every function, I'm sure, eventually, but it's happening now to this one. Ooh. Okay, I like how it makes a little, like a little ladder. You can climb up, a little curvy, fun little ladder. I'm such an idiot. Okay. So yeah, we check for an error in the given arguments. We create a context. This seems fine. We open the file for writing. Maybe you want to do that in binary since it's assembly, but it really doesn't matter. Men in Black movie series is 100% a documentary, Kappa. Vimy Lamau. Yeah, that tiny gun, that actually is how, that's how the terrorists won. That's true. Vimy says, curvy ladder, what's next? A sexy staircase? Lamau. Maybe. Just those right angles. Ooh. Your stairs are so aligned and perfect. Oh, Christ. So open the file, cogen the entire program, do the thing. Do the thing. Rotate the thing, make the thing. Okay, so now that we do this, we're going to have an error calling it. When we cogen program from main, we now need to provide a file path. So let's just provide the same one as before. And it works. Okay, that was all we needed to do. And hopefully code.s was updated with the proper things. Hey look, a bunch of calls to foo. And in simple, that's exactly what we have. But not the variable access at the end, sadly. That's unfortunate. Neg Vorsis says, are you returning OK in case of an error? Uh-oh. No. Great catch, though. Thank you for asking me that, Nick Vorsa. I would not want to do that. So we set error to OK, but then, which is like a pre-built error that just means no error. But we prepare the error as an arguments error with this error message, and then we return that. So this error prep is a little macro we have to set all the thing. If error is okay, just catch it. Yeah, why not just do a try catch, bro? So funny. I love when people that write Python come and talk about C code. It's always so much fun. They're like, wait, why does that, why don't you use single quotes everywhere if you can use them on that character? It's like, that's not a string. Ah. My brain melts a little bit. In that case, can we now hopefully change test, for example, and then find test.s? Yes, it works. Wonderful. Can we delete that file? Thank you. So now, this just has to be argv at output file path. Right? So we'll get output file path, and it's going to be equal to file path index. So we're going to have output file path index, which would be an index into argv. If it equals -1, we didn't find it in argv. It was never set. So it doesn't really matter. We can just use code.s. What is the issue? Output file path index does not exist. Okay, I understand. So now we're going to say that we have a integer, why not? There's an output file path index, and it's equal to -1 by default. I put these in the wrong order, in case you didn't notice. That's also a big problem. And then we're going to use this output file path. Do I want to... I think this is fine. Gnarly Quack says, hey, Lenzer and chat, how's everybody doing today? What's up, Gnarly Quack? How's it going? It's great to see you. Maconate says, hi, Gnarly Quack, with an emoji. Vimy says, Dukem Nukem. I'm okay, and how are you today, Gnarly Quack? That sounds like an MF Doom, like the start of an MF Doom song. Dukem Nukem. I'm okay, and how are you today, Gnarly Quack? Land you in the barley stack. Hay is for horses. I couldn't say the next part, so I drank water instead. I don't want to get canceled. It's like, ooh, that's a good idea, but not right now. Now Duke Nukem theme is in my head. Oh god, you're gonna be up all night, bud. Gnarly Quack says, I'm doing well, although my day's kind of just getting started, so haha. Mine too. I just woke up. At least before I started streaming. I've already been streaming like almost an hour. That's amazing. If you aren't already, be sure to hit that follow button. Check out the Discord in the About section of Twitch. We all have a lot of fun, send messages to each other in memes, and help each other out with code. It's a wonderful experience. I really recommend it. In any case, we want to basically loop over all of the arguments, right? So we want to say while argc, we're going to have argument equals argv at argc, or here we'll do a separate argument index, right? Do you want to go over backwards? No, we want to go over forwards. We'll go 0, and then we'll do a for loop. We'll just do a for loop. How about that? The other thing. There we go. And we want the argument index. We'll just do I, because this is a for loop. It doesn't matter. So I is less than argc. So with this, we will loop over all the arguments, ideally. Gnarly Quack says, "Are you in your hot tub, Linzer?" Kappa. Lamau. Yeah, I'm in my hot tub, and if you donate $100, I'll write your name in a temporary marker on my boobs. So, be sure to do that. I actually will do it, and I'll send you a picture of it if you give me $100. Because I don't feel like I deserve $100 for just saying that. But yeah, totally. Gnarly Quack. Or Vimy says, at Gnarly Quack, did I miss the tub theme creeping into this chat? Uh-oh. He's scared. He's running. He's shocked. Gnarly Quack says, nah, I basically just threw it on the table, lol. What else did you throw on the table? Wink, wink. Oh god, kill me. So we're just gonna print the argument for now. Argument something is something. And how about that? What do we get? Perfect. So argument 0 is our own executable. Let's just go ahead and save that in a little area above print usage. See, this is why we take argv into here, but we're also, yeah, we'll just do that. That's fine. It's fine. Okay, so we would like to say that we don't need to loop over the first argument, the 0th argument, I should say. So this will get us just our flags and options. Yes. We're now going to have int input file path index, and it's also going to be equal to -1. What do you know? And we're basically going to start doing string compares. So we would like to check if argument is equal to dash dash, let's see. We should do probably all the short versions, then the long versions, but that won't really be efficient to write them that way right now. So we're going to do them this way, where they're in the same spot. Oh, and then I need some sort of or is what I need. Vimy says the table is wet. The table is wet. Oh god. Chat, no. What did you do? Why is it wet? So we're gonna need that. But first, we're gonna go with what? We're gonna go with output. Okay? And output is just gonna set the output file path index to I. That's it. Otherwise, if we have -h, and this I want to be a mem compare. Because I kind of want anything that starts with the -h. I almost just want to make if -h is in it. Make it put print help, but we'll make it like this for now. Then we're just gonna do this thing. We're gonna do an exit because this will become its own function very soon. We can still print this, I think, as a preliminary measure, because we at least need an input file path. Okie doke. So, should this be else? Let's think about. I mean, it should, because 2 will never be true. Or we could just continue at the end of each one, because this is so ugly. Control flow. It's whatever. We'll just do else. This is horrible. I hate it. we're fixing it. This is not how I'd normally write this, but this is how it's being written. Vimy says standard C out stream operator, just C++ at stream operator, standard end line. Oh god, kappa kappa kappa. No. C++ is for the devil, I heard. Otherwise, our input file path index, else our input file path index is going to be equal to I. And we're going to say if input file path index does not equal -1, we're going to print an error, right? And say only a single file path only a single input file path is used, but multiple were given. Using the latest one. I don't know. I think that's fine. Vimy says devil is good, just L99K just cool like bat wings. About what? Devil is good though. Devil is great. You ever met a Satanist? They're the best people. I'm not even joking. So I guess we'll just like return error. We don't want to return, we just want to warn. Okay, so basically, if more than one input file path is given, we're just going to use the latest given one and treat the last one as it. So when it we're going to have to do a while. It's fine. It's fine. Because we need to, well, I think we can operate on the, this is C, we should be able to operate on I. This isn't a, yeah, this isn't an iteration. This is a literal for loop. So it's basically a while, just with this statement plopped at the in between. Very cool. Okay, so I think I should be able to modify I and not be worried about it here. So I can say char pointer option equals, whatever, argv at I plus 1, right? Hopefully this works. Can I put I++ in here? I never forget what the postfix or prefix operator and stuff. It's so confusing. I try not to think about it too much. Oh, I'm glad we are all having fun today. Oh, L99K, I'm an idiot. That's probably look, huh? Yeah, that's probably look. So output file path index would actually equal I after ++, like this. I think that's how we would do it. And then I would like to print output file path index. It's -1. And if we pass dash out, dash output, exited abnormally with code 1, because why? Who knows? So the idea would be we need to make sure, so we have to say if argc is, okay, so if our current I++, right? So we're going to do I++, then we're going to say if I is greater than or equal to argc, that means we ran past the bounds. And we're going to say, hey, you can't do that. Right? We don't want to run past the bounds of argc. So we're going to say it equals I. Otherwise, we're going to return 1 after printing expected file path after output command line argument. Sure, why not? Should probably use like I don't know, right to standard error instead of standard out, but it's fine. Gnarly Quack says, so I++ set output file path index to the value of I and then increments I. ++ I increments I and then set output file path index to the new incremented value of I. Okay, so the confusing part is that the prefix notation means that you use the value after. And the postfix notation means you use the value before. I know it kind of makes sense, but to me it's backwards in my head. But it's fine. Thank you for letting me know. I'll try and keep that in mind. So here we would need ++ I because I want to add to it and then check it. I'm just going to keep it like this to keep it understandable. Eternal Wild Fox is going to get myself some food. That's awesome. Stay alive. Keep eating. Output file path index equals I. So ideally, we still just exit abnormally with code 1. Oh, because we ran it from the wrong thing. There we go. Expected file path after output command line argument. So we did hit this error. Perfect. And we can also say the same thing, or we're going to get char pointer option equals argvi if Erlang of option. So I should probably just do this separately. So if Sterling of option is greater than 2, and string compare, Gnarly Quack says you can also just avoid the issue completely and never assign an increment at the same time. That's true. That's usually what I do. It should all compile to the same thing anyway. That's true. If it optimizes the AST, it should do it. So if the option is longer than 2 and it equals dash, but just the first byte, or it equals dash dash in the first 2 bytes, right? There's probably a better way to say this. In any case, we're just going to put it. So if memCompare argument, if it has a dash or 2 dashes, well, this will never actually check 2 dashes. So we're just going to make sure it doesn't have a dash at the beginning. Right? I think that makes sense. And we're going to say expected file path after output command line argument got what looks like another command line argument. Instead, is that understandable? I think that's understandable. So now if someone were to write something like dash dash output and then dash help, right? Hopefully we would catch it. Again, I ran it from the wrong place. We did not catch it. We got argument 1 output and argument 3 simple. That's good, we're skipping the argument. And it says could not open file at dash dash output. Interesting. So let's printf output option. Also, I know this is a very thrilling code. Just writing command line parsing, but it's got to be done at some point. Output option dash dash help. Then we don't actually get here. So why? Oh, because I didn't do the proper check. Here we go. I should probably make this a larger error. So I'm just going to do it like this for now. Again, should probably just print to standard error, but that's much better. So now you can see argument 1 output option help. Expected file path after output command line argument instead got what looks like another command line argument. Perfect. You mean option in place of argument, do I? I do. Thank you. Neg Vorsa, you are a killer at finding little bugs. I really like having you around. You are amazing. I really you got that eagle eye apparently. It's incredible. I thank you greatly for fixing that. That would have confused me for a while. So now it says, hey, your output option is wrong. Gnarly Quacks is arguing about the options, haha. No, it's true. So we basically just want to check if it's long enough. Well, we only really need one dash. So we don't really need to use a mem compare. We can just say argv at I, give me the actual thing. And if it equals a dash, then hey, it looks like a command line argument. If it's a null terminator, it's not a dash, and we'll continue and get an empty thing. But we can't get an empty string in an argv. I don't think that's allowed on any platform. Expected file path after output command line argument. Instead got what? Yeah, perfect. And then we can even print it, can we not? We can print, what would it be? The option, right? So we can just do argv at I. Yeah, perfect. Look at us. So now we'll let you know, hey, this looks incorrect. We could even do something like this if we wanted. We'll try that. Yeah, why not? That's good enough for me. Saying, hey, this is the issue. It's not a great error, but it is for certain an error. So we should probably do like this little check in a lot of them. So we should probably have a little function that helps us with that eventually. For now, we're just gonna copy. We're also going to have, we'll just extract this into its own thing for now. So we'll have int and handle command line arguments. Why not? We're gonna need argc. We're gonna need argv, our vector of strings, and our count of arguments. Okay, so return, we'll use doxygen at return 0 if everything goes well. Otherwise, return non-zero value. Sure, why not? And then that means that these are gonna have to move here. This really isn't a big deal right now. This can move to a struct eventually, and then we'll pass the struct into here. So don't worry about the global variables. They'll be going away. And then we just need this. Whoops, this. Pop that into here. So loop over all the arguments. We don't need to print them each out right now. And then we get output file path index -1. So we should check for that. So we need to handle command line arguments, argc and argv. Whoops. And then check. Okay, it's gonna be an int status. If not status, well, I guess if status, return status. Hopefully everything else has been dealt with, right? Gnarly Quack says, so dash could be a valid file name. No, on line 43, or at least be the start of one. I think on line 34 now. It's probably moving around. Yeah, this one. It could definitely be a valid file name. Gnarly Quack says, stop changing your code around. Lamau. Yeah, it could absolutely be a valid file name. That's why I say got what looks like another command line argument. We don't accept source files with a dash at the beginning. That's it. And this isn't even a source file. This is an output file. So you can't output code files with a dash at the beginning. I don't think it's that bad of a thing, because I don't know of anyone who puts dashes at the beginning of their file names. So and if they do, they'll see this error and go, "Oh, I need to change it." But you're right. We can put a little comment and say, "Fix me. This very well may be a valid file path. We may want to check that it isn't a valid file path with open or something." But yeah, that's a good idea. I like your thinking. I like your thinking. Gnarly Quack says, I'm not saying you should allow it, but it's something to consider, IMO. It absolutely is. We'll have it in the fix me to deal with that. Because all we have to do is say, if we're suspicious that it's not a file path, then we can just check that it is a file path with open, and then we can just open and close the file while we're checking arguments to make sure that it's a thing. This is what happens when you get into the weeds of argument parsing. Exactly. So now we protect from something like that. So now, again, we ran it from the wrong spot. And then it says, could not open file at dash dash output. So it looks like we have an improper input file path, right? So this is within the else, that the input file path index equals I. And we do print help, but we do return 0. So this now needs to exit 0 because this is not main. This can return 1, return 1. And the reason is because help is not an error. We still want to return a successful program run, our status code, but we also just want to stop the program right away. So now dash dash help is working, so we can get rid of that. And we exit abnormally with code 1 because we run it from the wrong place every time. And now we still get file path dash dash output. So the reason for that would be, we're just doing this, argv@1, instead of saying argv@ input file path index. So we're going to say input file path index is equal to -1. And guess what? It's going to have to be different. So input file is going to be this thing. Only if it does not equal -1. But if it equals -1, then what we're going to have to do is say input file path equals. We're going to have to say, hey, provide an input file path, bud. Not input file path was not provided. And then we're going to print usage and exit, basically. So we need an input file path, and we need an output file path, but the output is a little more lenient because we can just use code.s if we really are scared. Gnarly Quack says, when are you adding and implementing dash dash fix bugs? Lol. Gnarly Quack says, need input, Seymour, feed me. Soylent Green is people. I'm gonna implement dash dash fix bugs in a minute here, yeah. Hopefully it works. But yeah, it'll just remove all bugs from all programs that are compiled, so they all just work. It's beautiful. It'll be a great little system. Hey, I think this actually worked. We should have like a verbose thing too, but not too bad. So we need an input file path here, so we collect that. We can do something like this. Yeah, this is fine. This is perfectly fine. So now, parse the program. After validating arguments, parse program, print the node. This should only be done if it's verbose, and it should probably be done with like some semblance of class. So this is going to be abstract syntax tree. All right. And then we're going to have dash, 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 dash. And then at the end, you know what we're going to have? A bunch more dashes. That's right. Not 2 slash, 1 slash. All right, so that kind of separates this. I feel like the dashes should be on the other side, so they will be. Yeah, we'll do like that. That'll look good. Yeah, the abstract syntax tree. And we can get rid of the colon. Then we have the program. Then we're going to have, what else? We're parsing context. So that'll go here. Parsing context. Print that. Perfect. And then print us some more beautiful, beautiful dashes. That's not too bad. AST, the parsing context. We don't really have anything different to show when we type check the program. It's the same AST, it's just validated. But then in CodeGen, we could say like output file at blah. CodeGen, we'll say generated code output file path blah. And then we should probably wrap all this in a verbose feature. Probably just like this. What is this channel going to be in 40 years' time? It's probably going to be for 38 years. It hasn't been touched. My dead body still lays over my keyboard. Gnarly Quack says, easy. So now let's implement something like I want to write to a new file. I want to output to hotstuff.s. And it says, hey, no, you can't do that because you're running it from the wrong place like every time. But look at that. So now if we go check out hot stuff, it's got the code. Very cool. I'm gonna delete this file. Very, very cool. Lander XT says bad way to go. It's not too bad. Vme says at Lander XT, pure awesomeness. Thank you, Vme. You're so positive. Lander XT says, if you manage to have kids before you die of pointers, they should take over. Lamau. Yeah, I do not plan on that. Again, run it from the wrong spot some more. And now code.s has the code. Wonderful. Look, we're doing it. We did parts of it. Format. Yes. This is gonna suck. We're going to need, what is it? A CodeGen output format. This is going to be output format. It's going to equal CodeGen output format default. I think I did CG format. Yeah. We're going to do this. I do like the idea that I'm going to die of pointers. This is an enum. So this output format will be default, but if somebody happens to pass in, yep, we're copy and pasting. No, we won't copy and paste. We'll just do it ourselves. We're gonna move this. So the else, this little else if is gonna change into what we need, right? And then the help is going to go at the beginning because it's the simplest. I don't know why that makes it go at the beginning, but it does. Okay, so now else if we need to do a string compare for the argument into dash f for string compare for argument equaling 0, by the way, for dash dash format. Gnarly Quack says, I don't know what it's looking like for you, Lenzer, but your autocomplete pop-up seems to be showing up incorrectly on the stream. Not that you should bother trying to fix that, Lamau. Let me see. Where's autocomplete? I think it's popping up right. Are you saying like over here when I had it large? Because if I have the text large, you'll notice that it does not work. That's how it pops up for me too. Just so you know. That's not necessary. It is incorrect, but that's absolutely where they appear on the screen for me. Yeah, that's what's going on. Yeah, it's just because the text is large and it doesn't know. It doesn't like to place things at the edge because, I don't know, company mode. Effectively, they calculate things with character widths, but they don't actually use the built-in Emacs. It is incorrect, but it's expected. Exactly. Vme has it exactly. It's incorrect, but it's happened for a long time. There are fixes to it, but it means that your mode line and echo line down here have to all be the same size and have to be the same size as the rest of your text, so they change width as you get bigger and smaller, which I hate. I can't stand the mode line getting bigger and smaller. It needs to stay where it is. Gnarly Quack says, you fool! Changing your text size and expecting things to still work. Exactly. How naive. So I is greater than or equal to argc. So we're going to do a similar thing here. We should have like a continuation in a state machine, but it's fine. Expected format after format command line argument. Instead, got what looks like another command line argument. Sure. And then we should say switch on our argv at I We can't do that though, so we're gonna have to do a bunch of string compares in a row. So if it equals, what, x86-64, we'll say it equals this. And also, the calling convention only matters when linking with external libraries. So ideally, the calling convention won't matter. For now, we'll just do it. Yeah, we'll do like that. And then we said output format or something. Else, we'll have a way to set it to the default, right? Why not? So we got default, we got the one code gen format we support, and then we have an unrecognized format. So here we should say code gen formats or something, right? But we don't really have that, so we're just going to do it ourselves. Please enter a valid format after format command line argument. And we'll do this, we'll word it the same as up here, right? I didn't get the beginning quote. VMe says Lenzer basically just try catches it in his head. Lamau, that's so funny. Yeah, I just I have a I can throw an exception in my head and then I know when the program does. I can like set my own callbacks and stuff. It's complicated. You guys wouldn't get it. Maconate says, what kind of keyboard is that? The clicky sound is good. Interesting. I'm actually going away from clicky now. This is a, I don't even remember. I think it's a CM Storm keyboard. It was like $80 and I got it like maybe even longer, like over 5 years ago. Lander XT says, does your brain stop functioning if the catch is broken? No. The catch is always broken. That's just how I function, as it turns out. Instead, got an unrecognized format. Blah. And then we'll print out acceptable formats. Should I do like the same, like that? Yeah, why not? Acceptable formats would be, we'll say include default x86-64 MSWin. New lines on each of these. Technically, I don't have to do anything differently. I just need to pass the unrecognized format, which would be argv at I, would it not? Okay. Everything still works. Now if I rewrite it down here, we have -f default. Everything still works. But if I were to write -f, let's say default, hey look, it says expected format after format command line argument instead got an unrecognized format default. Acceptable formats include default x86 ms4. x86-64-MSWin. I don't know what I just said. Hey. And then -formats just prints this list. Yeah. So maybe we'll do this. Code gen. Print acceptable formats. Print formats. Why not? And we'll just go to codegen.h. Cogen print formats. That's all it is. And we're going to steal this right here. And yep, we're going to steal this back up to here. There we go. And we're going to do the cogen print thing. Now to print these formats, it's going to be pretty easy. We're just going to say cogen print formats. Oh Christ, it's broken again. There we go. Still not quite. Still need the printf. There we go. I think this is fine. Should the argument parser keep track of this, since it converts it? I feel like the argument parser should keep track of this, because it converts it. Yep, that's what's happening. We should have like a way to get a string from a certain format, and we print those, but even then, we don't want to use those. We want to use our custom parse. Okay. All in all, we're undoing it. Because the argument parser should keep track of the arguments it parses, not the other way around. Perfect. To do would be like Levenstein distance stuff, but we don't have to worry about that right now. We're from the wrong spot. There we go. The only reason I wanted to was because I wanted this in its separate... Oh Christ. So this is still going to be the argument parser. It's just going to say print acceptable formats. Okay. Sure. You could even just call it formats, but it doesn't matter. Yep, that's it. Print acceptable formats. Alrighty. Where did we need that? Here. And we need that because we're also going to check for formats in a very simple way. Whoops. This one isn't going to have a shortcut. It's just going to have dash dash formats. And we're going to say print acceptable formats. Look at that. And then exit was 0. So now if someone wanted to, they could run it with dash dash formats, and it would print out the acceptable formats. Wonderful. Or then they can choose one of those as format. I think that's pretty good. We now need to just detail all of this in print usage. Right? So we're going to have options and flags, right? Optionally. And then we're going to have the path to file to compile. I think that's reasonable. And then we're going to print basically the options. Valid options? I don't know. Supported options? We'll just go with options for now. And we're going to have, let's see, what are we going to have? Gnarly Quack says, well, it's almost noon here, which means it's about time I got some breakfast in me. Take it easy, everybody. Have a happy Friday. Thank you, Gnarly Quack. Thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun, and I appreciate your attention. Then he said, I keep seeing MS Win as M Swin. Lamau. M Swin. It's a possibility. So we're going to have dash O and dash dash output. And this is going to be file path. set the output file path to be when given. I think that's self-explanatory. Dash F dash format. Set the output format to be one given. We'll place dash format right here. Say list acceptable format output formats. Sure. Do we want to do something like this? I think we do want to do something like that. Okay, so we're going to have output format, output file path, and then we also had dash help. We should probably do that one first. Show this usage help and usage information. Good enough for me. Alrighty. So usage, options. Here are all the options. Format, formats, help, output. And then we can say anything else is treated as an input file path. Source code. Cool. Technically, this is a flag, and this is a flag. Also, I didn't put the S here, so that would be confusing. Technically, these are flags. Should we separate that? It's just going to get worse. We may want to separate that. We're going to do it. And we're going to need help formats. Any other arguments are treated as input file paths. I don't think that's too insane. So we print out our options, which have an argument after them. So the output is set to the given file path. The format is set to the given format. But formats is just a flag because it just does something. Same with help. Alrighty. This is pretty good. So if someone were to add dash help and run the program from the proper place, as in every time, hey look, they would get this output, which is kind of all scrunched up. We might want to add a new line at the end and the beginning, but you can see that you run it with debug func, then you place options, then path to file to compile. I should say flags and options. Now that we separated these two. Flags should ideally go first, but they can go in any order, which people will hopefully never find out. Why is it not running? Yes, save, I don't care. Alrighty, so now, again, we should have done the new lines. Much better. Then it'll be like, hey, I don't think we need two. We can just do one. But it'll ensure that things look a little cleaner. When it says usage, do this, flags, options. Flags are help and formats, options are output and format. And then any other arguments are treated as input file paths, source code. Chat, does that make sense to you? Is there any way I could make this better? That would, like, if you used this program and saw this message, something that would help you? I think we have it all, chat. Command line arguments are officially being handled. Alrighty. Well, that's us. That's us done. That's us done with the command line argument. So we can go here. We could do no type check and no code gen. I did think about these. I don't know how they would be useful at all, though. Oh, and also we didn't even do the the one. We need verbose, right? So that's another flag. Let's document it first, like a sane person. -v, or verbose. Everything's going to have to move forward one. And this is going to say, print out as much information as possible. Well, print out more information. Yeah, we'll just say that, because we can print out as much information as possible. That's a different thing. So now we want to check for this. And we'd really just like to say, set this verbosity flag or whatever. So it'll equal 0 by default. But if it equals verbose, it equals -v, or it equals verbose, then we can set verbosity to 1. And eventually we may have different levels of verbose logging. For now, that's fine. So we now set verbosity. Now we just have to listen to it. And that's effectively here. And then where else? Yeah, why not? Don't think we print anything else out necessarily. Unnecessarily, I should say. Haha. So now I can remove --help from the command. And it just finishes. Look at that. It runs very fast. Very fast compilation. I don't know why I said that with an accent. Gnarly Quack says, I personally don't like the arrow in front of the options, this one, since the option themselves also begin with dashes. It seems too cluttered. Alright, they're gone. Thank you for the feedback. I very much appreciate that. We ran this from the wrong place. And you can see if it works, it now just works silently. You may want to... For now, this is just going to be printed out. That way it's not completely silent and we have something. Generated code at output file path code.s. Why not, right? But if now you were to add -v anywhere, or --verbose, you now get the AST printed out, the parsing context printed out, and so on. Very cool, very cool. Eternal Wildfox is finally back and eating. We're glad to have you back. I'm glad you got some food. That's a great idea. We just implemented some parsing of some command line flags. I'd say we're done with it, in fact. So now we can pass all sorts of flags to our compiler, like the output file path, and the format that we should generate in, and if we're verbose or not. And all of that can be interweaved with input file paths. Wonderful. Very wonderful. Well, there we go. We ran it from the wrong spot, but it works. It works. So now I really wish we could catch that last variable access at the end of the program. It would really be great if I could just catch that bug right now. You know what I mean? So here, maybe it's here. Oh, maybe it's here. Okay. We're here twice. That's a sign, chat. Gnarly Quack says, now that Eternal is back, I can now leave for real to get food, lol. Oh, Gnarly Quack, thank you so much for sticking around. I appreciate it so much. We will miss you while you are gone, but feel no obligation. We will continue either way. Thank you, Gnarly Quack, for watching and tuning in. Be sure to get that food. Take care of yourself. Eternal Wild Fox, I'm glad you are finally doing something relaxing and something you like to do. Chilling and eating. That's the best. Humans can't really get it better than that, can they? Okie dokie. This works great. This works very great. We got here twice, which is kind of confusing. Token end is equal to... So how do we get here twice, right? We could use a debugger and do breakpoints and stack traces, but we can also just think about where lex is called from. We may want to do a debugger. Okay, chat, it's going to happen. We're doing a debugger. It is happening. I just realized you cannot see what I'm doing, but that is fine for now, because I'm just opening the evil, just on time Visual Studio, which classically takes forever to open. It's so bad. But I don't want to deal with line numbers right now in GDB, and I'm lazy. So we're going to try out Visual Studio. I don't even know what a component cache is. Do you know what a component cache is? Or why Visual Studio needs it? Or MEF components? What is that? I don't want that. Don't give me that. Just let me go. Now an MEF graph. Ooh, it made a graph for me. Can I see it? This is literally like 20 seconds just to open the IDE. That is awful. In any case, we're going to have to change how things work. So we can pass example to it. I think we were passing simple to it. Can we run it? Will it work? There were build errors. Reload all. Oh, it's just CMake. I have some WAL and WExtra that I can't use because those don't work on Microsoft. So we're going to have to try this again and then get it to reload. Hey, look, it started. So if we put a little breakpointy in parser.c lex, this is all mouse driven. It's very odd for me. So in lex, we were here. Here. We're going to do this. Look at that. Alrighty. So source is a new line. Just a new line. Is that right? Sorry, I'm like running over my cable with my chair. Let me fix this. So source is just a new line. There's not much left of anything to do. And for some reason, oh, and then we skip the white space and token has become an empty string. It's basically just /0. So then we return error, and where's this from? From Lex Advance, which is from parse expression in... So we're expecting a... What? Where are we? Oh, this all looks different. Oh, Christ. Oh, so this is a function. Yep, so this is defun. So we do lambda defun, and then we handle a declaration. So this is a type. No, this is return type of, man, where were we? Here we go. Then this is a declaration. So we have an unknown symbol followed by a colon, and that lexing got us to the end, right? It's not found. So then if we, can we do a step over? And we go to here. Interestingly enough, I don't know how we just ended up here. I guess we were still here. I stepped out of the call stack, but it doesn't step over. It doesn't keep track, which is fair. So once again, step over, blah, blah, blah. Yes, advance. Yes, expect. Get back here, and you can see that we go right to the end. Interesting, interesting. So the idea would be that parse expression, when it is done, so where's expect? So we have an unknown symbol here. We don't know what it is. We're trying to figure it out. So we look, is it a lambda? It's not a lambda. Is it defun? It's not defun. Then we expect a colon after the unknown symbol. Maybe it's a variable declaration, right? And if it's found, we go, okay, it's found. If it's not found, then we have to go into the else, in which case we should expect a parenthesis. If that's not found, we look for the variable in the environment and then create a variable access node. So somehow we're not getting here because of what? Expected found. This should update expected. We're gonna have to, we'll do another debugger session because now we think we may have the answer. Let's check one more time. So we want to return an error because the token, there's nothing more to lex. So if we go up the call stack a little bit to parse expression, we should see that the current token is A with a new line. Yeah, that makes sense because the beginning just points to the beginning and then the end points to the end. So between beginning and end, you can see there's just an A. So current token is A, and that should be what symbol is as well. Yeah, see, symbol has a value of A. So this symbol, we're expecting after it a colon, and we don't find one, is the idea, right? So we should just fall through. So let's check out what we do in up above when we step over. We stepped over returning error, so now we're going to step into, and then we're in Lex Advance. So we're going to step over all this in Lex Advance. We're going to step over all this in expect. And it says current length is 0. We are done. We're done lexing. There's nothing to do else. There's nothing else to do, right? So we can go, okay, I want to step over now. So now that was the return value of, yep, expect out. So now I want to step into. So now we're at expect. Let's step into. So doing a single step into went to the very end for some reason. Of what? Of parse expression. So somehow we broke out of parse expression. When what? When what? I mean, we were in parse expression. And then we broke out of that. Interesting. So we were here. So working result should now be, see, it's not been set. This doesn't make sense to me. There's definitely something that I'm missing. So this is the else, right? And the else goes to this if expected.found, right? And when we expect something else, it's also just going to say done. So if it's done, then we go, okay, we're done. Could also just say if expected.done, do all this stuff. Otherwise, just create a variable. It seems like we should end up here, and we're not seeing us end up here ever. Still no variable access at the end, you know? So somehow this is still being skipped. That didn't help us at all. Eternal Wild Fox says, mine IDE opens in seconds. Visual Studio OP, mine PC opens in seconds. Lamau. Lander XT says 20 seconds? That would be in minutes for me. Lamau. Lander XT said, imagine having Origin, Battle.net, and the Ubisoft client on your taskbar. Imagine actually using programs that are made for people on computers in 2022. Wow, you sound so cool. Who cares, my guy? It's not like I've used them in the past 3 years. I just used to play Battlefield 4. I used to play, I used to play WoW like years and years ago. But then I played Overwatch and Hearthstone, and then back to the nested linked list problem for Eternal Wild Fox. That's awesome. I think you got this. I believe in you. And the Ubisoft client, that's actually a friend really, he was like addicted to Rainbow Six Siege, and he just played that shit hours and hours. So he would come over to my house, and we'd play Rainbow Six Siege together when I was young. Imagine being embarrassed about those things, Lander XT. Imagine in 2022. Would you mind checking if the structure is correct now? Absolutely, Eternal Wild Fox. Just pop it in the Discord. I'll check it out. So why are we not doing things? I'd like to set a breakpoint here. Right. We're going to hit it quite a bit, I believe, before we hit the other breakpoint. So now we just need to continue till we get to the other breakpoint. It's almost like I need to get to the other breakpoint, then set this breakpoint. Here we go. Now, get to that breakpoint. But we got back here somehow. Amazing. And we never get to the breakpoint after hitting this one. How is that? This is so confusing to me. So we have a breakpoint here that we never hit after returning error equals okay. So returning error is just returning okay here. So we do this. We say, hey, there's nothing left to parse. You're not lucky at all. Lander XT says, when you were young, you say that as if you were like 80. I basically am. Why not? Ookie. So we return error into Lex. And it equals nothing. And we set a bunch of stuff on that from expect and advance and whatever. Moralilu says, heyo, how's it going, Moralilu? What is up with you? What brings you into this amazing stream today? We are already 2 hours in. We've completed everything that we set out to do. We're now just going bug hunting, looking for this, why it won't parse this last part. So at this last section, you say symbol, right? Doesn't matter what order these go in because we continue from them. But it does matter what order this one goes in because we don't always continue from it. Sometimes we just return the variable declaration if we're done. Okay, looks like we got some more debugging to go through for Eternal Wildfox. Yes, we have a char pointer, it's a symbol. We have a integer long, children and next child with pointers to the recursive type. And then we have an int that corresponds to the type. Yes. So you don't actually have to cast the return value of malloc. You can just say malloc size of node. You don't have to do this cast, because that's what this means, if that makes sense. So malloc is expected to return all sorts of pointers to different structures. So there's no cast needed, and there's definitely not 2 casts needed. Okay? Just gonna get that out there. That's not a big deal. Things will still compile and work, but not needed. Moving on, set types and values of nodes here. Okay, so we have binop value symbol. This is incorrect. This is not a string. This is a character which you've converted into a memory address. So whatever this character is in ASCII, like 120, you've converted that into a memory address and are trying to treat that as a string. This is wrong, because this is not a string. This is a single character, which is a different type than a char pointer. Okay? So you need to use double quotes around this and get rid of this cast. Stop casting. Binop multiply next child equals null. That's fine, but you should also, if you're going to set one thing to null, you should set every thing to null, both your pointers. So you should set children and next child just to initialize it properly, if that makes sense, even if you're going to update them later. To do the rest. So then the left-hand side is the integer 4. The right-hand side is the integer 2. For now. Yep, that all works. Next child and children is null. Yep, so you should do these 2 for every one of these nodes, ideally. Moralilu says you probably never want to cast in C. That's correct. C++ is a little different, but that's correct. Eternal Wildfox says I have to cast, otherwise the compiler gets mad. Well, those are just warnings. You don't have to worry about warnings, my guy. But it is bad practice to cast the return value of malloc. You can look that up everywhere, I promise. And you'll get, your boss will yell at you if you cast a return value of malloc in code for a job. Binop multiply value symbol equals quote does not work. What's it say? It doesn't just say it does not work. What's the error you're getting? What's the problem you're running into? But yeah, you have to do this set where you net next child and children to null. You should do this for every node. Like maybe even right after you malloc it. We're not even talking about you should check if malloc returns null, but in any case, this is good. Multiply children equals left-hand side. That's perfect. Next child and children equals null. Well, buddy, you just overwrote the same thing you set. So you set children to left-hand side, then you set children to null. That's wrong. Moralilu says something unrelated that doesn't matter. Don't listen to him, Eternal Wildfox. He's wrong. You only need to heap allocate a string if you're going to free it. Like, why would you need to heap allocate a string just for a test program, trying to understand how binary trees work in C++? Moralilu, you're wrong. That's bad advice. That just makes it more complicated. How about you allocate and deallocate memory along with what you're trying to fix? That doesn't make any sense, buddy. It doesn't matter if you use a static string or not. It's fine, it can be a char pointer. I still need to figure out what error you're having, Eternal Wildfox, otherwise I can't help you with you saying it does not work, right? You're gonna have to be a little more specific. You're getting a type error? Does it say, this is not const? What does it say? Moralilu says K. I'm just saying. Moralilu is saying that the return value of malloc, when you allocate a string, can be a char pointer. But it can also be a const char pointer, so that's not the issue. Errors with equal cannot convert from const char to char. I'm not sure how you would be doing that then. Where are you setting it? So here, you should just be able to change this to a quote, and this will work. Because char pointer symbol refers to a memory address. And putting a string literal should allow you to do a char pointer. And if it doesn't, you may have to cast to a char pointer because it's a constant. Let me test. Let's test. We're doing it. We're just doing it. What do we do? Where do we go? We'll go eternal wildbox. Oh, there's been a few of these. Okay, it didn't work. I have to re-copy paste. Hey, look, screenshot. Buddy, you lied. You're a liar. I can't help you if you lie. Eternal wild fox, you can't lie to me like this. Look, you're using single quotes. Single quotes is not double quotes. Buddy, you can't do me like this. Look, single quotes. You're supposed to replace it with double quotes. Double quote string. We went through this morning. Eternal wild fox. Look, this will work. I promise you. Just use double quotes like we talked about. Oh my lord. Eternal. Eternal says, I try, relax. I'm just saying, come on. You gotta increment. You gotta work with me a little bit here. So you gotta set the left-hand side things to null. You have to not overwrite children to null right after you write it. That's bad practice, because we'd like to keep this assignment. Left-hand side next child is equal to right-hand side. That's correct, because now left-hand side gets its next child, the right-hand side. This is where the multiply operator gets the left-hand side on its children. Gnarly Quack says C ain't PHP. Eternal says lol, I noticed. I can't believe you were lying to me with the single quotes. It was driving me. I was like, there's no way this isn't working for you. This is how C works. And then you lied with the single quotes. I'm just being over dramatic, by the way. Don't feel bad. I'm not saying you're a liar or anything. You're not a liar. You didn't lie to me. Your intentions were good. It's just funny to me. I was like, no, the single quotes. That's all it is. Okay, what is all this? This got a little scrunched up. So by not plus should be a plus. Next child is equal to null. That's valid. Next child would go to null here to end that linked list. Children has by not multiply. Hey, that's pretty good. Right-hand side, integer equals 3. Right-hand side, next child equals nothing. That's perfect. Right-hand side, children equals null. That's perfect. By not multiply, next child equals plus right-hand side. That's perfect. By not plus is now your root. Current node equals by not plus, int result equals null. So if you're curious how to loop over these, you're going to have to do some, you're going to need a function with recursion or continuation or something like that to do tree traversal. Eternal Wild Fox says double quotes also errors. Mine compiler is foobar, I guess. That's not true. It's all user error. Every time in C that I've gone, it's the compiler. It's always been me. So I promise, it's us. It's something we can get through. Lander says, I just realized I sent my last message completely unrelated while you were trying to work something out. Now, it's all good. Don't worry about that. I'll go back and read it. I didn't see it. You placed a screenshot. Okay, I'll check it out. Landar said, I made a PR to rename one file to fix a spelling mistake on an open source project, and the author gave me credit in the README. Lamau. That's awesome, Landar. So remember, okay, so this is it's complaining. So what's it complaining about? What kind of error is this? This is a type error. You can fix type errors by casting, right? You did it up here. So you just do the same thing you did up here with your terrible mallet casting, right? You take your terrible mallet casting and you do it down here into a char pointer because you want a char pointer, but this one is constant, meaning that it doesn't want you to write into it. But we don't care about that right now because we're not writing into the symbols ever, into the existing symbols. We're just setting them. So just place that like you had with the character. You can go and place the char pointer like this. And all that is a warning. It's not an error, just so you know. Because it should be fine. And if it is an error, that'd be crazy. If Visual Studio treats that as an error, that's horrible. Warning, initialization of int from void pointer makes integer from pointer without a cast. What? You set result an integer to null? Okay, don't do that. Null is for pointers only. Null is literally a macro. It just is this. It's literally just hashtag define null, void pointer 0. This is what null is. It's just a casted 0. So casting 0 to a void pointer to assign it to an int is a little roundabout. LanderXT said they also merged it in like 10 minutes. That's pretty pog. You are a professional developer now. You should place that on your resume. Eternal Wild Fox says, oh, lol. But yeah, null is not for anything except pointers. Integers are a different beast. Gnarly Quack says, seems like a preferable outcome to your PR just sitting endlessly in the void. Hey, true. Eternal Wild Fox says, I am a C noob. It is clear now. Yes, but you're learning and that's what matters, buddy. Because nobody else is willing to place their code in like a public Discord and be like, hey, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? People get like nervous or they don't want to do that, right? But you want to do that, which is impressive. It shows that there's at least something to work for, right? You could even align all these nicely. Look at that. How beautiful is that? I think that's not bad. And technically, each one of these you should say, if not by not multiply, return 1. Because then this will error out if you cannot allocate the memory. But that's not really important right now. C's null macro does have or has had its issues. I usually just use 0 or do a C++-esque hashtag define null pointer, void pointer 0. But that's literally what null is. And we're getting null pointer in C23, so it's fine. But yeah, you're right. The null macro is pretty AIDS. But yeah, with these fixes, it seems good. With the char pointer casted strings, because these are constant and we need not constant, which means we can write to them, but that's not important right now because we're not writing, blah, blah, blah. You could also fix it just by making this a constant, but it doesn't matter. Can you place the file on Discord? Yeah, let me make sure it works. Unused variable current node. That's a good error to have. Let's see, I'm gonna need to do explorer.exe. Alrighty. Hopefully that helps. Hope this helps. So yeah, I removed the setting of the by not multiply children to null after you set it to the left-hand side. And then I recommend writing a way to print this out, print this data out, and that will tell you how to traverse it, right? So to print it out, you just have something like print node, right? And it would take in a node, and then you would just say if node, first of all, return. So if node is null, get out of there. And then say node pointer child iterator, right? And that would equal node children. You could say while child iterator equals next child. And then in here, you could print each child node, right? And then after that, you probably want to print the this first. You could switch on the node's type and then say in case that the type is node type like symbol or integer, right? Then just printf the long integer. Is that making sense? With a new line, of course. Something like that. And then you could iterate in this way and print out all the nodes and figure out what's going on. LanderXT says we should have a hashtag code review channel on Discord. Let's go make it. Text channel. Should it be text or voice? We'll just do text for now. Code review, new channel. Hooray. You guys go look at stuff while I edit permissions. Everyone can view. Nobody can manage. No manage. Create invite. Sure. Send messages. Yes. Threads. Yes. Threads. Yes. Invite only threads. No. Embed links. What is embed links? Yes, embed links. Attach files. Add reactions. External. External. Mention. No. Manage. Manage. No, no. Yes, history. No text to speech. And sure. Alrighty. That should be permissions done. Code review should now be accessible. Use this channel to get help with code or anything of that sort. There you go. It's done. It's a thing. Ta-da! Eternal Wild Fox says, yeah, that makes sense. Awesome. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so now I can go close this file and go back to where I was. LanderXT says, I'm always worried someone's going to raid the Discord. What would that mean? Just a bunch of people come in and say things? I don't think that's a bad thing. Nothing bad can really happen other than we get notifications, right? Eternal Wild Fox says, thanks for the help. Of course, anytime. I really enjoy helping people with programming. Because it's always, people are just right on the cusp. Also, let me know if like you can't send messages in the new channel or something. If I screwed up permissions. You should be able to though. I guess I could just... Yeah, it should be fine. In any case, yeah, we have to actually work on the parsing that's not working anymore. Because our variable access is still not doing nothing. So we get to expect here. So print, I would like to print the token, current token. That's pretty funny. That's better. So you can see that we get foo a, which means that we are parsing simple. So we get foo a, foo a, foo a, foo a. So we get there for sure. We get there here. So then I would like to say print token, and move that down there. So we should see doubles of all of these. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So for variable declarations, we see singular because we say print token, or oh, that's kind of confusing. Because this changes current token. Nice. Okay, so this is doubled up, doubled up, doubled up, doubled up. A was a parameter. Oh, yeah. Okay, so that's not going to work very well. LanderXT says, like, while you're offline, bots or a lot of people show up and spam the server. I don't have a problem with that. We can always just make a new server. I'm not attached to the Discord server. That's why it's so bare bones. It's like, it's just a place for us to hang out. We can hang out anywhere, if that makes sense. But that is, I wouldn't be worried about it, Lander. It's gonna be okay. Eternal says, it is funny I can program really well in PHP, but C, lol. I know how you feel. It can, C can make you feel like you don't know anything. It's like, I thought I was a programmer, but no, I am not. I don't know why I put parentheses around that. Okay, so not a function call. We should pretty much, if we're here, it should be a variable access. We have to just be returning a silent error somewhere without knowing it. Eternal Wild Fox says, guess I need to learn C now. Exactly. That's it. We get 5 A's. Why do we get 5 A's? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There should be 6 A's. So when do we get 6 A's? We still don't get 6 A's. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Hey, we got 6. So this is breaking things. This expect right here. If not done, and found, because we can't be done. There's more to parse. We either need the type, right? Because if we get this, we either need the equals or the type or something. So there, it can't be done. That didn't change anything? LanderXT says, I think you should learn COBOL. It's very marketable and a hot new language in 2022. Lamau. I mean, I'm learning Algol 68. I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to write these end-to-end tests. No problem. Which is pretty awesome. It's a little confusing, but we'll get it. We'll get it. C itself is actually fairly simple IMO. It's just that it doesn't do any hand-holding for you, and so you can create horrible messes while doing seemingly simple things. Absolutely. Like it'll allow you to do things like this. Char pointer A equals B. This is allowed, and this is a big problem. Because the value of B is now used as a memory address, so then dereferencing A means that you dereference like 120 as a memory address, and you get the big problems for your program. So you can get into bad situations fairly quickly and easily. Gnarly Quack says, stop my eyes. Lamau. It's true though. So I would like to say, we can't have a function call if we're done. That won't work. So then I need to run that again. See, we still aren't getting a variable access right here like we should, but we're getting here. So why are we not getting here? Is there anywhere where we call parse expression and don't handle the error? I don't think there is. Like I can even grep in the entire place looking for parse expression. Yep, there's one place where I call it. So, and it's here. I'm definitely handling this error. So parse program, definitely handling this error. I'm not getting one. So no errors. And we're not. Interesting. Gnarly Quack says, but yeah, that's the other side of it. You can write obviously broken code and compilers will be like, this looks fine. It's true. Because sometimes you need that. So the idea would be we get here, and then somehow we don't get here. We leave. Right? So we would like to say something like that. Interestingly enough, so we have foo a at the very end. We have foo a, but then we hit two a's. We're probably hitting somewhere else. This doesn't make sense. Yeah, we're hitting here, which wouldn't make sense, but it's fine. Yep, now we get foo a. Okay? And we're getting the variable access too from parsing that. And then, so how do we return above here? We return with an error syntax, unknown symbol. We don't do that. We break out of this while loop. We continue. So we may be continuing. So we should say printf funcall continue. Little printf debugging never hurt anybody, huh? That's how that works. That looks fine. So we're not going into here at the very last iteration is what matters really, right? So we're not trying to funcall continue on this last variable access. It's got to be something so simple that I just messed up. Huh. Did I break here? When we do a variable access, should we break and go? I feel like we shouldn't, but I feel like we may have to. We now have unknown symbol, but symbol wasn't printed out. What? So when we break, then we look for an infix operator ahead of the variable access. That seems fine. If found, continue. Yep, keep it going. If not, stack break. See, that's where we should end up anyway. So the idea would be that this would trigger and we return OK after hitting the variable access. So why doesn't that trigger? Right? Oh, this is so annoying. I'm at the end of my patience, but I will stick with it because I want this to work. So we print out a token every time that we get a symbol that's not a lambda, that's not a function definition. It may be a variable declaration, a reassignment, a function call, etc. We don't know. The idea would be that if it's one of these, I would like to print node symbol Okay, so we get symbol AA, BB, AA. So this should be A, B, B, A, A. That makes sense to me. Otherwise, expect a function call afterwards. So what if we print symbol here? Or print node is what it was. So what symbols do we encounter on the other side of that? A foo, A foo, A foo, A foo. So if we try and look at here, this would be A for this variable access, foo, and then A, foo, and then A, and then foo, and then A, foo, and then A, and then we get A. But we didn't get A at the end. We got foo, A, and then nothing. You see that? So there should be one more. This doesn't make sense. So if we print something here after saying like, we're just gonna say an arrow. We're not handling it there either. There's no A here after an arrow, and there's no A here without an arrow. But, and here's the kicker, there's an A here. Look at that. So expect must be returning. So we have an A here at the end. We have symbol foo A, and then, so we have symbol foo, right? Then we have symbol A, which is a non-arrow. Then we have symbol A again, but it doesn't go to either the if nor the else. So expect must be returning something. Right? It's got to be here. So if expected error type, return expected error. So what would that be? If expected done, return okay. Hey, look, that's what's screwing us over. Ah! Ah! We found it. Look, we did it, chat. Oh my god. Remember earlier when I said it was going to take us forever? It did take us forever. Oh my Christ. But we found it. We now handle it. As, yes. Yes. We now have a variable access. Look at us. Oh, that's so nice. So now we no longer skip variable accesses at the end of files. Christ. That was rough. That was very rough. Oh, chat, that's so pog. We did it. We did it. We can remove all these printfs. Good old printf debugging helped once again. Visual Studio, not a single help. We opened it, we used it once, and we went, that makes no sense, and then we closed it. I don't see how that would help me. I should pull out the debugger less often. Go straight to printf. Okay. This is looking good. We now have a variable declaration with assignments and, oh, yes. So also, we should fix something that I think can be fixed. Variable declarations on the global scope don't actually need to be added to the AST, but we can just skip them. Gnarly Quack says, these are my bugs. You keep your filthy debugger off my bugs. That's right. They're mine to fix. Not yours. Mine. So if I actually try and do things to this, that worked. That worked. Hey, it worked. So now A is assigned to 420, 69, and then we return A from our program. And that actually allows us, here, let's open up eShell. And then we can use as to generate an object file from our generated code. Then we can use LD to generate an exe from our generated object file. Then we can run the exe. What's the return code though? Does anybody know in eShell how to print the return status? I do not. That didn't work. I do not remember. I thought it would tell us the return status, but apparently it does not. In any case, we can we could either look up how to do it, or we can just run it in a shell command here. So let's just go do that. Copy this into here. And you see shell command failed with code 69. And if we go into simple and make this, let's say 127, why not? Right? We recompile our code, and then we rerun our little compilation. Shell command failed with code 127. Eat the works. And if we return foo of A and not just A, then you can see that we need to recompile. And then we can do all that. It's 137 because we add 10 to this and then return that value. Chat, we're actually doing it. All we need now, I say this like it's easy, it's not. All we need now is conditional control flow, and then we can implement a Fibonacci. Is that pretty dope? I feel like that's pretty dope. I also kind of want to make recursion work without recursion, but that's going to require a lot of thinking. So let's not go there yet. Let's go with how would conditional things work? I'd want to say if, right? So I'd want if, and then I'd want to parse the condition expression, and then I think I want a body, but not a scope. Interesting. I don't think if should generate a scope or a context. Like if I do this, I would kind of want this to be a global variable. But it means that then if we take the else, we could still use a because it was global. Also, this isn't how declarations work in the language. Gnarly Quack says like tail recursion. Sorta, yeah. Exactly like tail recursion. We're effectively going to do... So for a call like this, let's just say, foo of a plus 10. This would never end because we don't have conditional control flow. But in the assembly, I want to just make this call reset the parameters, like save the current parameters on the stack, like save A on the stack, save any local variables just will be saved on the stack. But then just go through again and do the whole function again. And without actually generating a call foo. That makes sense? So within foo, I want to like just do save the arguments and such or whatever. And then we can just do a jump foo. Does that make sense? Then when we get back, we can just restore arguments and such. So this would mean that the stack never actually grows, but we would never actually get back here. So restoring arguments would be tough. But yeah, tail call recursion, you're exactly right. So if it's the last thing we do, we can just jump back up to the top and not have to worry about it. That's at least my idea. It may not work. And the idea for if, I guess we're going to need a scope, right? And I think I kind of want if to always have an, like, if then else. So let's just normalize. This is going to be a rough one. What's the AST for an if look like? So we could have, what do we do? We can have an if node, which is going to have a conditional expression, right? It's going to have a then body, and it's going to have something over here that's like the otherwise body. LandarXT says, I've been debugging a .NET library this whole stream, and I still haven't fixed the bug that annoyed me. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Okay, so if condition expression, else. So then when generating the code, we need to figure out, oh boy. So we're gonna have to like do compares based on the flags. By the way, we're not doing this today. I'm just checking, I'm figuring out conceptually how we are going to do this. Just so you know. Okay, so the idea would be that this would be our AST node, drawn terribly, of course. Gnarly Quack says, dude, just crank it out, Kappa. Lamau. Yeah, just get it done. Just do it. Why don't you just do it? Move the thing, do the thing, access the thing. Right? Ooh, I know what to add to the to-do. I don't know why I just thought of this. But added to the to-do should be the variable declaration with assignment is not code gen properly. That would be something we can do today. Let's conceptualize a little more on what we could do. Hey, Landar said test in code review. It definitely works. Thank you, Landar, for being such a nice community member. Alrighty. So if we had something like this and we were code genning, we would generate a label. We would generate the condition. We would check the result register of the condition expression based on, so our if will just test if the condition is equal to 0 or not. I think we're going to do something like C, right? Gnarly Quack says lol. All right, so we're going to do something like C, where we're going to evaluate our condition expression. So if we went and looked at the code gen, this is going to be a lot like, where is it? It's going to be a lot like a function, I would guess. Because of, yeah, it's going to be a lot like a function. We have to generate a label, right? For a function, we are just given the name, but we're going to have to generate some label. We're going to have to generate some label that refers to what? We're going to have a label for the then and a label for the otherwise, right? And then we're going to have a label at the end. Generate label for then, otherwise, and after otherwise. We need after otherwise so that when we execute then, at the end of the then body, we can jump to the end. So we need a label for then, otherwise, and after otherwise, right? We're going to have to generate code for condition expression. Then we're going to have to, so we're going to have to generate the code for a condition expression. This guy, compare result register to 0. And branch based on result. I think that makes sense. So generate the code for the condition expression. The condition expression will then have a result register allocated to it. The result register, if it's 0, we can branch to otherwise. Otherwise, we just fall through to then. So we don't actually need a label for then. We just need for otherwise and after otherwise, because we can just fall through from evaluating the condition into the then body. And then we can fall through, we don't want to fall through from then into otherwise, so we make a jump over. And then in otherwise, we can just fall through. Cool. At end of then, jump to after otherwise. Right? So then we basically then say, generate code for condition expression, compare result register to 0 and branch to otherwise if necessary. Then we should generate the code for the then body. Hey, LandarXT says he finally fixed the bug. That's awesome. So glad to hear that, Landar. If you want to share, feel free to share what that bug was. Was it a cockroach? Was it a scorpion? Was it a fly? First time chat from a new viewer. Fun games. How's it going? How do you know how to plan like this? Any recommended programming tutorials? He clarifies. Fun games. It's so great to see you. Thank you for the follow. How do you know how to plan like this? I don't know what to do. So I start in a state of not knowing both where I am, where to go, or how to proceed, even if I did know where, right? This is where I start. I start in a state of not knowing. And then I begin to ask questions, right? So you'll notice while I'm going, I'm asking myself, do we need this? I'm not asking anybody. I'm asking myself, really. I'm just asking questions. Eternal Wild Fox says, oh my God, this is deep. It's true. I begin to ask questions. So then I go like, okay, I want a conditional statement. So then I figure out, what does that look like in my head? And in my head, this is what a conditional statement looks like. So let's have this be the syntax that we're going to use. So then let's figure out how this syntax could be like mapped into actually code gen and an AST that we actually need. So I try to like apply the problem I'm having to where I'm trying to go, right? Because I want to go here, but I don't have an abstract syntax tree for this, and I know I'm going to need one, and I don't know what it looks like. So I start in a state of not knowing what the AST will look like, where to start, or where to go. So I just say, okay, I'm assuming it starts with if. We're going to have some sort of node, that's going to be if. And then I think about, and I just kept going like, okay, it's going to need a condition child. It's going to need a then body because we're going to need all these expressions. It's going to need an otherwise body if we have an else, right? So I figured out what it would need. And then I then went, okay, what do I actually do with this information? Because we have a two-sided problem. We have to build up this structure from this, but then we have to break down this structure back into code. So I'm trying to figure out if we have everything we need to actually code properly for the code gen stage and the type checking stage. Hopefully that helped at all. Recommended programming tutorials, yes. If you go to my GitHub in the section down below, and then you go to like, let's say Light or Lenser OS, they both link to the tutorials they started with. So here, I'll link you to the Lisp interpreter, which is a programming tutorial that really helped me learn how to create a programming language, just in general. Hopefully that helps. Fun Games, and I'm glad you have shown up. Fun Game says, thank you. Of course, of course. Anyways, we need to generate code for the condition so that we actually get a result register that contains the result of the condition. The result of the condition, compare it to 0, and branch to otherwise if necessary. Lander XT with the POG links. Thank you so much, Lander, linking to both Lenser OS and Light. Definitely go check both those out. They are very, very much instrumental in how I learned programming as well. And in Lenser OS, I would try and looking at an early commit, like go to the 100th commit, because we're on like commit 900 at this point, 980. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, for following. I'm glad you're interested, and I hope I could help at all. And I didn't just talk at you for 5 minutes. In any case, at end of then, jump to after otherwise. Generate label for otherwise. Generate label for after otherwise. Alrighty, and then this would be generate code for otherwise body. Well, this doesn't look too hard now, does it? When you write it out like this, it looks so simple. We're gonna try and implement this tomorrow and be scratching our brains like, what did we even mean? This is this is bad. But yeah, I begin to ask questions, answer as many questions as possible, and then eventually that leaves me in a place where I know things. I know where to go, I know where I am, and how to proceed. Ask questions and answer them. Don't just ask them, right? Because I went, oh, well, I want if condition expression. That's not a question. I want something is not a question. So I go, okay, how could I state that as a question? Because then that will provoke your brain to have answers. Like instead of saying, I want conditional expressions with conditional control flow, then that's not that helpful. It helps you know where to go, but not really how to go, right? So saying something like, how could conditional expressions be represented in an AST? Then your brain starts going, oh, maybe this, and then you can start. Fun Game says this is good. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. We like good. So we generate code for the condition, we compare the result, can generate code for then. At the end of then, jump to after otherwise, generate label for otherwise, that we can jump to here, generate the code for the otherwise body, and then generate label for after otherwise. I kind of want to just tackle doing this. It looks too easy. Eternal Wild Fox says, oh my god, something weird happens. What happens? What happens? I'm curious. You getting some memory corruption or some memory errors in your C project? What's going on? Did something weird happen on the stream? Did I miss it? Okay, so we have if. We're going to need a new type. Printf %d/n/r. Well, that's backwards, first of all, but that's okay. Current child value integer. Prints a high number. No idea why. Okay. In C, there are different format strings, right? So what do the different format strings pertain to? Do you know? Like printf format strings. Let's go here. Why not? And the idea is that it tells you which type to actually convert it into and print the data, the bytes that you give it as, right? So for example, here's a bunch of floating point examples. And here is where the thing you are running into, which is that when you print a long integer, right, you need to say it's an LD, a long decimal integer. Does that make sense? %I is the same as %d, just so you know. Eternal Wild Fox. So you can see that it's a little small here, but when you print a long integer, you need LD for long decimal integer. So when you print a long integer, you need LLD. And you'll see that in our code gen. You can see that when we print out one of our numbers, we print out, I guess that's not right, but it's fine. Somewhere. Here it is. You can see that to print out an integer, we print out LLD because it is a long decimal integer. So hopefully that'll help you. You have to use %LLD because you are not using an integer, you're using a long integer. Lander XT says this YouTube VOD is going to be super useful. Hopefully. I didn't know people would find these little streams or clips useful, but I'm glad they do. I'm glad they do. Does this work? This should work, by the way. No errors. Can go to code.s. Shell command failed with code 79. That works. So you can now mutate a variable with a function. Well, not mutate, because this actually returns a new value, which then gets assigned to here. Eternal Wild Fox says that prints out -3 billion. Oh my god, C is lovely. It is. So just make sure you're using the right format specifier. Because the fact that in the parser, our node, right? See how it's long. That means that we have to use %LLD in printf, right? So long is really just long int, if you didn't know, is what that means. So there's an int in there, so that's why it's LLD, long decimal integer. You can also use LLI, but it's not supported officially, I don't think. So if you're using a long, use LLD. If you're not using a long, don't use LLD. I'm using printf LLD /n/r current child value integer. This doesn't matter, by the way, but /r/n is the proper order on Windows. And you don't need to printf /r/n. /n gets converted into the proper line ending for whatever OS you're on. So just use /n and it'll work. I promise. Other than that, that was unrelated. That's just a small little nitpick. What is current child? Because that means you're just dereferencing something that doesn't have its value set to an integer. It's probably a symbol memory address, right? Because this memory address is in the same memory location as this integer. So if you try and treat it as an integer, it'd be some crazy number. I was just wondering from a software creating perspective, how do you go from an idea, structure, libraries used to start writing your first line of code? Is there a tutorial for this? That's called life. There's no tutorial for that. You just have to do things and not get caught up in analyzing what to do. Just ask yourself a question. What do I do next? And then if you say, I don't know, don't allow that answer. Just get an answer to the question and then do that next. That's it. And if you really want to know, check out the YouTube and the VODs. All my previous broadcasts are up on YouTube. You can go to the first episode of this compiler, or the first episode of me making my suicidal AI, both of which I've written in C from scratch, entirely on stream, right? So you can literally see my whole mindset at the creation of this project and also my previous project. And my general idea is I have no idea what to do. I'm just going to start. So then I write main.c and I go, okay, what does main.c need to do? It needs to parse. And then the first thing we do is start working on the parser. And then, you just increment from there. Fun Game says, thanks. Absolutely, I'll do my best. I'm not a smart man, right? I'm not like the authority on what to do the right way, but I sure can get things done, right? Ooh, what did I screw up? Invalid char beginning operand result register. So I don't even know what I just tried to do. There we go. Shell command failed with code 69. Hey. Fun Game says, gonna watch that YouTube now. Thank you. Of course, be sure to check out the Discord down below. Join it where we can all be friends so you don't lose track of us. We do code review, we do memes and chats. Women want me, fish fear me, you know what I mean? From that V me. There's announcements every time I go live. I very much recommend it. Why is this so fat and squishy? No. In any case, yeah, be sure to join that Discord and so we can see you again. Otherwise, see you in the next life. Because yours is going to end. No, I'm just kidding. We don't make life threats around here. Unless we're clearly joking. Shouldn't I return an error here? Do/fix me. Should I return error here? It's a good question. So, along with defun, we're going to need to check for if. And then we're going to need to do a whole bunch of crap with stack continuations and contexts and such. LandarXT says, I should probably go now. Thanks for such a good stream. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I very much appreciate it. I think in that case, we'll probably just end really soon here. We'll have the plan tomorrow to fix this, and then also to do work on parsing and code gen of if conditional statements. Woo! That looks like a good plan for tomorrow. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I very much appreciate it. Like I just said, I don't want to hound you too much. Join the Discord like this amazing and beautiful Fun Games just did, and Frosty Owns. How are you doing, Frosty Owns? I don't know who you are, but you showed up at the same time. How's it going? How's it going? We got that lurker. We got that lurker join. But thank you all so much for joining. We love to see people in the Discord. You get announcements every time I go live. We get memes, a little programming community. We got code review. It's up, just got up and running today. And yeah, feel free to, as long as you're nice and friends with everybody, we'll have a great old time. And if you're not nice and not friends with anybody, we'll still have a great old time, but you just won't be able to. Anyway, thank you so much. I very much would appreciate you joining the Discord. The YouTube down below contains all my previous broadcasts. Be sure to check that out if you would like. Hey, Mac08, he says bye and have a nice day. Bye, Mac08, you have a nice day as well, or afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I very much appreciate your presence today. As well as the YouTube, as well as the Discord, there is also the PayPal donate button down below. I would greatly appreciate any and all donations that come in. I will read messages on stream as long as they're appropriate, and if you leave your username, I'll even say that you left it. Ain't that fancy? Ain't that fancy? In any case, thank you so much for watching. If you do not have the money to donate, please do not donate. I do not need to have your money or money that you need. It's just for extra. So I do want to say, I don't want to steal your money. Just give me extra money that you have, that you would prefer me to have. In any case, if you can't donate, don't worry about it. All we worry about here is that you are positive and show up. It's kind of all that matters. It's like AA, right? Just be positive and show up. But as long as you do that, we love you around here. We love to have you here. So thank you for being positive and for showing up. Those of you that did, we greatly appreciate all of you. Like Maconate, like Lander XT, like Fun Games, Eternal Wild Fox. Fun Game says, the problem I have is as a beginner, all my ideas are like complete programs. Mine are too. I started this compiler with like, let's write a compiler. That's an entire program with like all different sections. There's parsing, lexing, code gen, type check. Like there's so much to do. All at first it can get scary. So just try and break it down into like, go look at what those programs look like if you need to help, right? Or a program that's like yours, that's open source. Fun Games, hopefully that helps. But yeah, thank you, Fun Games, Eternal Wild Fox, Lander XT. We had Gnarly Quack in here earlier. He went to get food. More Lilu. We had V-Me in here earlier. He was so much fun. He made us laugh. Neg Vorsa catching bugs. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. And I thank everybody so much for watching. Fun Games says, ookies, thanks. And Fun Games, feel free to continue talking in the Discord. Message me, message anybody. Don't worry about it. We'll help you out. In that case, I am officially done. I've done my whole ad spiel. I've done my whole read. I am ready to hand it off to you. It is now your turn to go out there, make these beautiful programs, and be that ultra giga chad programmer that I know you are. Anyways, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye. Bye mom, bye dad. Bye. Bye.